So after working at it for 35 years, I can see the dam breaking down. I can see the levees being breached, and going to add as much weight as we can to breach those levees even more. I feel a sea change going on in this country. The people are tired of being ruled by the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate, fascist, elite son of a bitches, and they're rising up to throw those folks off.
Ralph Nader's been doing the same exact thing. If we would have elected Nader, we wouldn't have had an Iraq war. We wouldn't have, we would have universal health care a long time ago. So.
And you should have used that time to come up here and talk about solutions to Kentucky's problems, not what your false patriotism is.
The death of Gatewood Galbraith isn't just a bad thing for the people. It isn't just bad like because of his career, which they do have a point that he didn't win any of his elections, so I'm not sure what changes he actually brought about.
My name is Gatewood Galbraith, and I'm an independent candidate for governor. We don't want a political party. My running mate now, hey, dear, if you're going to use your outside voice, go over and join the other children over on the playground. We're trying to get some serious conversation going on here, okay? So you go over with the other kids over there.
That's all right. I understand that. I understand people are tied into two political parties.
You speak as if you expect to win. How many times you ran for Agriculture Commissioner in '83? How many times have you run?
I ran for District Agriculture in '83. I ran the Democratic primary. Ran Democratic primaries in '91 and '95. Decided that the party was freezing me out, running all my ideas into the marketplace, and they weren't inviting me anyplace. So I was going to run as independent in 1999. I got the required signatures. The Reform Party approached me and asked me to run under their auspice, and I did. Spent $20,000 and got 15.3% of the vote. Next to Jesse Ventura and Ross Perot, that was the best any Reform Party candidate ever did. Gave the national address, keynote address at the Reform Party National Convention in 2000. Ran for Congress, Reform Party 2000 as independent.
You know, people say, Galbraith, you're a perennial candidate, and I said, well, Kentucky's got perennial problems. If the people had beaten me the first time and solved the problems, I wouldn't have had to run again. But they didn't, and they haven't, and they can't, because neither party can produce a candidate that can disengage from the partisanship long enough to work with the other side to actually get the job done.
But I would tell our viewers, like I'm going to tell him, I brought along, our relationship has been contentious in the past. I've sat up here and solved all of Kentucky's problems. Nobody did anything about it, including endorsing my opposition. But that's okay. I understand. You know.
I said, David, I said, when I'm governor and you're president of the Senate, we're going to put that idea through. But, you know, folks, I've got to tell you, Mr. Williams can't win this election. Mr. Williams cannot win this election. I'm sorry to say. Only I can beat Steve Beshear, and that's because we got solutions to problems. We're not sitting up here trying to hide behind some false military patriotism. How many of you all were satisfied with Congress's performance last week? How many were satisfied with Congress? The same thing's happening right here in Kentucky, and if you keep voting for these parties, it's going to continue to do just what happened up on a national level.
I mean, yeah, that's what you all done. You boycotted me the first two times I ran for governor. Wouldn't use my name. But that's why I brought these olives along as a peace symbol to see if we can't sit down and say, hey, folks, let's do it this way. When I win, I'm going to have both sides have to work them. If that's half as hard as trying to get a campaign together with trying to represent as many sides as possible, I don't know whether I'm going to be up to the task. Because what we've got to do is lay aside the partisanship, lay aside the fear and the lies. We've got to take science and truth and apply them to the perennial problems of the state of Kentucky. Neither party is capable of that. Everybody was so sick of it, they put Rand Paul in office. And, you know, he came out of nowhere and did it.
We stop the corruption in this state, we'll have enough money to pay for pensions and retirement and Medicaid. It's corruption's keeping this state poor. What I'd like to do is the Commonwealth incentive, and that's give every high school graduate in the state of Kentucky a $5,000 voucher for books, tuition, and fees to any institution of further learning in the state of Kentucky that would train them into employability. I don't care whether it's truck driving school, cosmetology school, UK, UL, woodworking school, for books, tuition, and fees, no pizza, rent, and beer, no creature comfort. They can spend it within 10 years after getting out of high school. It's time we started talking about further education for everybody, not just higher education for a few. And our C&D students need to be trained into employability too. That will bring worker training programs into the state. It will bring emerging industries into the state because we will pay them to train our workers to work in that industry. It will also give these kids in poor counties some hope behind the high school diploma, besides the fact they don't have to go to school anymore or that they get to get a driver's license.
Both sides have to work them. If that's half as hard as trying to get a campaign together with trying to represent as many sides as possible, I don't know if I'm going to be up to the task. Because what we've got to do is lay aside the partisanship, lay aside the fear and the lies. We've got to take science and truth and apply them to the perennial problems of the state of Kentucky.
Science and truth?
Neither party is capable of that.
What the hell is that?
Everybody was so sick of it.
You understand what that means, science and truth, Stephen Ford?
And he
you know what
came
science
out of
is? You know what the truth is?
I attended the first three Tea Party rallies in Central Kentucky, and I was introduced as the guy who most typified what the Tea Party was trying to be. That was somebody who's been for less government and less taxes. I went to a Tea Party rally last year, and they said, Gatewood, thank you for joining me. I said, what do you mean, thank you?
We want less government. We want less taxes. I've got the endorsement of the Gun Owners of America in the past. I'm Second Amendment. And, you know, I would tell you this, folks. I've been trying to tell you the truth. Asked somebody the other day. He says, I'm going to endorse you. I said, why are you going to endorse me? He said, because you've never lied to us. I said, hell, if I was going to lie to you, I'd already been elected governor. God bless our military. God bless Kentucky. And God bless America. Give us your vote. Thank you.
Traffic, hold big yellow signs and say, look what they're doing to you.
That's right. Gatewood's been Tea Party Kentucky for 30 years.
How much?
One man Tea Party right here. One man Kentucky Tea Party.
More than 20,000 before. Raised 150,000 so far.
How much? Oh, you're not raising enough money. I'm such a snob, and I only know that you need. Who's your contributors? And we want to find some fucking dirt on you in order to get you. Don't want to talk about the issues. But what's your solution to solve these goddamn perennial problems?
You know, but we raised probably $150,000 so far.
You honestly think $200,000 is enough to win this election?
You think John Wayne would put up with that? You think John Wayne would put up with that? John's riding his horse down the trail and they drop the log in front of him and say, John, get off that horse. We're going to take blood out of your arm. You got to pee in this bucket. We're going to stick our fingers up your butt. I think John Wayne would say, I'm afraid not, Pilgrim. This is where I draw my line in the sand, and this is where we're drawing the line in the sand in the state of Kentucky. We're going to turn privacy and individual dignity and freedom, each and every individual in the state of Kentucky, and get the police out of the business of promoting morality and put them back in the business of promoting law and order in the state of Kentucky.
So they more care about the business, this guy, than what they care about informing you. They want to get all these one-a-day ads.
An excellent source of omega-3 DHA in a great tasting gummy.
So they can make a profit. They can care less about actually informing you of the facts.
Good afternoon.
And
I'm Stephen Ford with the Courier Journal.
Kentucky
and this is another in a series of interviews conducted by the Courier Journal's editorial board regarding.
And then in 2011, just a few months ago, he just concluded his campaign for governor for the 5th time. For the 5th time, he's ran for governor of Kentucky. So just like Ralph Nader, just like Eugene Debs, just like those people, just like those people's champs, just like those rabble rousers, just like those revolutionaries, he also ran 5 times. And because he ran so many times, the media has dubbed him a perennial candidate. I got a problem with the word perennial. Perennial is not an accurate term for Gatewood Galbraith.
It's now present day science tells us we can get 20 barrels of petroleum off an acre of hemp. 20 barrels of premier petroleum off an acre of hemp. Our farmers should have a niche in that energy market. And when you talk about returning land as a means of producing wealth, then what you're talking about is spreading the wealth and giving everybody in every county an opportunity to get some of it. So, but, that brought slings and arrows of outrageous fortune upon me politically. And, the editorial boards around the state and some of the papers decided, this guy's a goofball. We're not going to fuck him up.
How are you going to feed the balance of the people? What's Morgan and Baruch and Rockefeller and Mellon going to do with all that grub? They can't eat it. They can't wear the clothes. They can't live in the house. Give them a yacht. Give them a palace. Send them to Reno and give them a new wife when they want it. If that's what they want.
Raised $150,000 so far. We'll probably spend over $200,000.
Who are your contributors?
The moms and pops, the $20 contributors, the $10 contributors. We've had several $1,000 contributors, entrepreneurs, people who know what it is we're trying to do.
But when they've got everything on the God's living earth that they can eat and they can wear and they can live in, and all that their children can live in and wear and eat and all their children's children can use, then we got to call Mr. Morgan and Mr. Mellon and Mr. Rockefeller back and say, come back here. Put that stuff back on this table here that you took away from here, that you don't need. Leave something else for the American people to consume. And that's the program.
Yeah, okay, so in order to watch this Courier-Journal interview, in which they're extraordinarily insulting, you gotta stand and go through one of their corporate ads.
Then, we start from the bottom. That the 25 or more million American families shall have a homestead, a home, and the comforts of a home, including an automobile and a radio, the things it takes in that house to live on. We say to America, 125 million, none shall be too big, none shall be too poor, none shall work too much, none shall be idle.
So after working at it for 35 years, I can see the dam breaking down. I can see the levees being breached, and going to add as much weight as we can to breach those levees even more. I feel a sea change going on in this country. The people are tired of being ruled by the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, military, industrial, transnational, corporate, fascist, elite son of a bitches, and they're rising up to throw those folks off.
No luxurious mansions empty, none walking the streets, none impoverished, none in pestilence, none in want, but in the land blessed by the smile of the Creator, with everything to be consumed, to be eaten, to be worn, that America will become a land sharing the fruits of the land, not for the favored few, not to satisfy greed, but that all may live in a land in which the Lord has provided an abundance sufficient for the luxury and convenience of the people in general, I think.
Long record.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephen Ford with the Courier-Journal.
Stephen Ford?
And this is another in a series of interviews
like one of these
conducted by the Courier-Journal's editorial
assholes
board regarding endorsements of political candidates in the November election.